Verse 3, as he has created and given to man the power of understanding the word, capital W, his word, so has he created me also and given me the power of reprimanding the watchers, the children of the Shaman. I wrote out your petition, and in my vision it appeared thus, that your petition will not be granted unto you throughout all the days of eternity, and that judgment has been finally passed upon you, even so will not be granted unto you. And from here on you shall not ascend into the Shamayim unto all eternity, and in bonds of the earth the decree has gone forth to bind you for all the days of the world. And previously you shall have seen the destruction of your beloved sons, and you shall have no pleasure in them, but they shall fall before you by the sword. And your petition on their behalf shall not be granted, nor yet on your own, even though you weep and pray and speak all the words contained in the writing which I have written. And the vision was shown to me thus. See, in the vision, clouds invited me, and a mist summoned me, and the course of the stars and the lightnings sped and hastened me, and the winds in the vision caused me to fly, and lifted me upward, and carried me into the Shamayim. And I went in till I drew near to a wall, which is built of crystals, and surrounded by tongues of fire, and it began to terrorize me. I'm going to pause there for a minute, because he just finished telling the Nephilim, the watchers, that their request for themselves will not be granted. They are condemned. And their request to spare their beloved children will not be granted. And it reminded me, it's like, geez, you know, they were weeping, praying, oh, please, we did wrong. Spare us. And Yahweh says, nope, sorry. See ya. And I thought, you know, they're weeping and they're praying in wickedness. It reminded me, there's these kids when I was growing up. I was maybe 10 or 11 years old, and we called them the Cain kids. Their last name was Cain. There's like 3 or 4 of them. And these kids were wicked. I mean, I'd be playing with a couple of my friends, and the Cain kids would come up, and they'd stay off maybe 20 or 30 feet away from us, and they would start cursing at us and insulting us and, you know, throwing rocks at us. And really, I mean, a true picture of wickedness. So, you know, we'd chase them and they would run away. But, you know, we were pretty aggressive. I mean, I grew up on the streets in New Jersey, and it was aggressive stuff. We would catch them, and then, you know, we'd be ready to, you know, pummel them. And then they would stop. Oh, please, please, you know, they'd be, don't hit us, let us go, please, let us go, you know. And I mean, they'd be crying, and like, you know, our compassion would well up for them. We'd go, well, okay, man, you know, just, you know, don't be such a jerk, you know. Why are you doing that? You know, we don't want to kill you, you know. We'll let you go. Just don't ever do it again. And we would let them go, and immediately they would run away. They would get 20 to 30 feet away from us. And again, they would start cursing us. I mean, they would just go right back to absolute wickedness. And, you know, sometimes we would catch them and beat the tar out of them. Wouldn't make any difference. And then, you know, every time, I mean, numerous times, if they're crying, oh, please don't hit me, you know, and you let them go out of compassion, as soon as you let them go, they would get just far enough so they knew you couldn't catch them, and they would start all over again, cursing you. That's how I think about with these watchers. They were crying and praying, and It was all wicked. It was all lies. They weren't sincere. They just wanted to get out of their trouble so they could go and create more. Chapter 14, verse 9 again. And I went in till I drew near to a wall which is built of crystals and surrounded by tongues of fire, and it began to terrorize me. Again, remember, he's speaking in the flesh, with the tongue of his flesh and the breath of his mouth. He's trying to describe things with things that we can relate to. But, we have to use our wildest imagination, and we're still not going to be able to picture what he actually saw. Verse 10, and I went into the tongues of fire and drew near to a large house which was built of crystals, and the walls of the house were like a mosaic floor of crystals, and its groundwork was of crystal. Its ceiling was like the path of the stars and the lightnings, and between them were fiery cherubim, and their shamayim was as water. A flaming fire surrounded the walls, and its portals blazed with fire. And I entered into that house, and it was hot as fire and cold as ice. There were no delights of life therein. Fear covered me, and trembling took hold of me. And as I quaked and trembled, I fell upon my face. And I saw a vision, and see, there was a second house greater than the former, and the entire portal stood open before me, and it was built of flames of fire, and in every respect it so excelled in splendor and magnificence and extent that I cannot describe to you its splendor and its extent. And its floor was of fire, and above it were lightnings and the path of the stars, and its ceiling also was flaming fire. And I looked and saw therein a high throne, its appearance as crystal, and the wheels thereof as the shining sun. And there was the vision of cherubim, and from underneath the throne came streams of flaming fire, so that I could not look upon it. And the great esteem sat upon it, and his garments shone more brightly than the sun, and were whiter than any snow. None of the messengers could enter and look upon his face because of the magnificence and esteem, and no flesh could look upon him. The flaming fire was round about him, and a great fire stood before him, and none around could draw near him. 10,000 times 10,000 before him, yet he needed no counselor. And the most Kodeshim who were near to him did not leave by night nor depart from him. And until then I had been prostrate on my face, trembling, and Yahweh called me with his own mouth and said to me, "Come here, Hanok, and hear my word." And one of the Kodeshim came to me and woke me, and he made me rise up and approached the door, and I bowed my face downwards. And he answered and said to me, and I heard his voice, "Fear not, Hanok, you righteous man and scribe of righteousness." They called Hanok the scribe of righteousness. That was one of his names. "Fear not, Hanok, you righteous man and scribe of righteousness. Approach here and hear my voice. And go, say to the watchers of the Shamayim who have sent you to intercede for them." I love this part. Yahweh said to the watchers, the Nephilim, he told Hanok, go tell them, "You should intercede for men and not men for you." man, I just think that it just nails it so firmly and clearly. It just amazes. I love that line. You should intercede for men, not men for you. Verse 3, why have you left the high Kodesh and eternal Shamayim and lain with women and defiled yourselves with the daughters of men and taken to yourselves wives and done like the children of the earth and begotten giants as sons? And though you were Kodesh, spiritual, living the eternal Chai, you have defiled yourselves with the blood of women, and have brought forth with the blood of flesh, and as the children of men have lusted after flesh and blood, as those also do who die and perish. Therefore I have given them wives also, that they might impregnate them, and bring forth children by them, that thus none might be lacking to them on earth. But you were formerly spiritual, living the eternal Chai, and immortal for all generations of the world. And therefore I have not appointed wives for you. For as for the spiritual ones of the Shamayim, in the Shamayim is their dwelling. And now the giants, who are produced from the spirits and flesh, shall be called evil spirits upon the earth, and on the earth shall be their dwelling. Evil spirits have proceeded from their bodies, because they are born from men, and from the Kodesh watchers is their beginning and primal origin. They shall be evil spirits on earth, and evil spirits shall they be called. Ever wonder, what's it? Ghosts? Oh, did you ever see that ghost? Evil spirits, what are these? These are the spirits of the children of the Nephilim who mated with women, the spirits of those children who died, who were killed in the flood and in other ways. At other times, for example, David slew Goliath. Verse 10, as for the spirits of the Shamayim, in the Shamayim shall be their dwelling. But as for the spirits of the earth which were born upon the earth, on the earth shall be their dwelling. And the spirits of the giants afflict, oppress, destroy, attack, do battle, and work destruction on the earth, and cause trouble. They take no food, but nevertheless hunger and thirst, and cause offenses, and these spirits shall rise up against the children of men, and against the women, because they have proceeded from them. From the days of the slaughter and destruction and death of the giants, from the beings of whose flesh the spirits, having gone forth, shall destroy without incurring judgment, thus shall they destroy until the day of the complete end, the great judgment, in which the age shall be ended over the watchers and the wicked, even so shall be completely ended. And now, as to the watchers who have sent you to intercede for them, who had been previously in the Shamayim, say to them, you have been in the Shamayim, but all the mysteries had not yet been revealed to you. And you knew worthless matters, and these, in the hardness of your hearts, you have made known to the women, and through these mysteries, women and men work much evil on earth. Say to them, therefore, you have no peace. And they took and brought me to a place in which those who were there were like flaming fire. And when they wanted, they appeared as men. And they brought to me to the place of darkness, and to a mountain, the point of whose summit reached to the Shamayim, and I saw the places of the lights, and the treasuries of the stars, and of the thunder, and in the uttermost depths, where there were a fiery bow and arrows, and their quiver, and a fiery sword, and all the lightnings. And they took me to the living waters, and to the fire of the west, which receives every going down of the sun. And I came to a river of fire, in which the fire flows like water, and discharges itself into the great sea towards the west. I saw great rivers, and came to the great river, and to the great darkness, and went to the place where no flesh walks. I saw the mountains of the darkness of winter, and the place where all the waters of the deep flow. I saw the mouths of all the rivers of the earth, and the mouth of the deep. Chapter 18. I saw the treasuries of all the winds. I saw how he had furnished with them the whole creation, and the firm foundations of the earth. And I saw the cornerstone of the earth. I saw the four winds which bear the earth, and the firmament of the Shamayim. And I saw how the winds stretch out the vaults of the Shamayim, and have their station between the Shamayim and the earth. These are the pillars of the Shamayim. I saw the winds of the Shamayim, which turn and bring the circumference of the sun and all the stars to their going down. I saw the winds on the earth carrying the clouds. I saw the paths of the messengers. I saw at the end of the earth the firmament of the Shamayim above, and I proceeded and saw a place which burns day and night, where there are 7 mountains of magnificent stones, 3 towards the east and 3 towards the south. And as for those towards the east, one was of colored stone, and one of pearl, and one of jacinth, and those toward the south of red stone. But the middle one reached to the Shamayim like the throne of Elohim, of alabaster, and the summit of the throne was of sapphire. And I saw a flaming fire, and beyond these mountains is a region, the end of the great earth. There the Shamayim were completed. And I saw a deep abyss with columns of fire of the Shamayim, and among them I saw columns of fire fall, which were beyond measure, alike towards the height and towards the depth. In other words, these columns of fire which he saw falling were beyond measure as far as he could see up, and beyond measure as far as he could see down. I was driving across the United States, one of many trips, and I was in the Rocky Mountains up in Utah. And boy, I'll tell you something, if you've never been in the Rockies, they are huge. Makes me wonder about the Swiss Alps. I've never been out there. That must be something to behold. But I was in the Rockies, I was in Utah, driving on a highway. And to the right of the highway, the valley went down as far as I could see, it was immeasurable. And to the left of the highway, the mountain went up as far as I could see. It was immeasurable. For the first time in my living experience, I felt as though I was an ant. That was something I'll never forget. And, here, Hanok, he's in the Shamayim of Shamayim. You've seen pictures from the Hubble telescope of the universe. I mean, he's looking at something that's really immeasurable. Verse 12. And beyond that abyss I saw a place which had no firmament of the Shamayim above, and no firmly founded earth beneath it. There was no water upon it, and no birds, but it was a waste and horrible place. I saw there 7 stars like great burning mountains, and to me, when I inquired regarding them, the messenger said, "This place is the end of the Shamayim and earth. This has become a prison for the stars and the host of the Shamayim." You discover as you study the scriptures that when you're reading about stars, the word star or stars is often interchangeable with malach or malachim, with messenger or messengers. It constantly reminds me of Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12, where it reads, "Because we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against authorities, against the world rulers of the darkness of this age, against spiritual wickedness in the Shamayim." That's referring to, our battles. And so, it talks about the darkness and wickedness and so on. But the point being, it's not about what we see in the physical realm. Everything we see in the physical realm is truly, more realistically, about the spiritual realm. So, a star, we see it physically, but it is the manifestation of a messenger, a malach. So, verse 14 again, the messenger said, "This place is the end of the Shamayim and the earth. This has become a prison for the stars and the host of the Shamayim." It's a prison for the Nephilim, the fallen ones. Verse 15, "And the stars which roll over the fire are they which have transgressed the commandment of YHWH in the beginning of their rising, because they did not come forth at their appointed times." Disobedience to YHWH is what's being talked about here. And see, the stars which roll over the fire are they which have transgressed the commandment of YHWH. It's, stars are physical things, but they are manifestations of spiritual things. Verse 16, "And he," meaning YHWH, "was wroth with them, and bound them till the time when their guilt should be completely ended for 10,000 years. Chapter 19. "And Yoriel said to me, Here shall stand the messengers who have connected themselves with women, and their spirits, assuming many different forms, are defiling mankind, and shall lead them astray into sacrificing to demons as mighty ones, till the day of the great judgment, in which they shall be rightly ruled, till they are made an end of. And the women also of the messengers who went astray shall become demons. Wow. And I, Hanok, alone saw the vision, the end of all matters, and no man shall see as I have seen. Selah. Think about that. No man shall see what Hanok saw.